Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 25 of a Disney Life podcast. Thank you so much for joining us here today to chat about all things Disney. In today's episode, we will be doing a little bit of a tribute to Dinoland USA. That's the area of Animal Kingdom theme park in Orlando at Walt Disney World that will be getting rethemed and closing permanently at the conclusion of this year. Early next year, I believe, we'll be chatting about the specific times during our main podcast today. My name is Missy, and I appreciate you being here. And I am joined by my co host, Rachel. Hello, Rachel. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I am pretty good. So, we're going to start a little something new in our podcast. Not necessarily a news section, because I know there's news out there in a lot of places, but sometimes there are things that come up that are newsworthy, and Rachel and I just feel are worth mentioning. So, I haven't really run this by Rachel too much before, because, one of our big things here is we are just really, this is an honest conversation between friends here. So, there's not a whole lot of preparation that goes into this. But there were a few things that were announced recently that I just feel like we should have a chat about. And one thing in particular, I'm very excited about, and that is an update coming to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure in World Showcase in Epcot. Had you heard about that, Rachel?
Yeah, I have. And everything that I've seen, it's getting a positive reaction so far from guests that they are welcome to this change.
So from what I understand, it it seems like a relatively easy change as far as guests are concerned. It's an improvement for us because they're eliminating that 3D part of it. So no more 3D glasses, which I'm hoping for me means that I can actually ride and enjoy this attraction. I don't know why, but there's that in Star Tours over at Hollywood Studios. Those are the only rides that are just no way, can't do it. So nauseating. I did try riding Remy on two different occasions. I thought maybe the first day was a fluke. Maybe I wasn't hydrated enough. Maybe I hadn't eaten enough or had eaten too much, whatever. I came out of there so nauseated. The second time, by the time I was halfway through it, it was forget it. I didn't even want to try to watch what was going on. Were you able to ride it, or are you there with me in the nauseated area?
So I'm able to ride it. I don't there are some rides that make me motion sick. Those are primarily at Universal. But
Okay.
that one
Yeah.
has not.
Like all of them there make me
Yeah. That one's never bothered me before, but I will say, since it's a ride with no height limit, I think about my 2-year-old wants the 3D glasses because everybody else has the 3D glasses. Those 3D glasses are not going to stay on a small child. So this
Right.
is a huge update, just even for families in general, not dealing with motion sickness because you can just actually just get on the ride now and not have to fool with the glasses.
I never really thought of it. I guess because my kids are older, I haven't been on there with any real small children since that ride opened. I hadn't thought of it from that side of things. I do know what it looks like to ride without the 3D glasses because I have taken them off.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, everything's blurry and it's not
Mhm.
impressive at all. So I guess looking at young children like your youngest that are able to ride, they're not really getting a whole lot out of it either without them. So I wonder if maybe that was part of the reason for the change, or if they were getting guest feedback about some motion issues. Whatever it is, I'm thrilled that it's happening. And I
Yeah.
just felt the need to mention that in the opening of today's show. So, and there's another thing to piggyback on that with, not so much a motion thing, but another update coming to Epcot is that they are going to be doing an update to the Frozen Ever After ride in Norway too. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. I haven't looked too much into that one, but, it's the animatronics, correct, that they're updating?
Right, they're supposed to be, so right now they have like those projection CGI faces. They're not great, and sometimes things can be a little off, and
Yeah.
it's not super magical. So they're supposed to be coming out with a more lifelike version of those. I think they'll be the same as what's at Hong Kong's Disneyland, in their version of the ride there. So again, that's something to look forward to too. I don't know what the time frame is on that, how soon it's happening, but it's relatively soon. Like the updates I had heard this week were all things coming in the next several months and like early 2026. Along with
Yeah,
Festival of the Arts is coming too. I mean, it's going to be a big time for Epcot. There's a lot
yes.
going on. We have the Festival of the Arts dates, which is arguably one of my favorite festivals of the year, but I can't ever choose just one.
When, if you're looking for a much more what I would consider relaxed festival, I think Festival of the Arts gives you that. It does attract people and crowds, but I think it's nice looking at the different artwork, just kind of the emphasis that Epcot places on Festival of the Arts as opposed to Food and Wine Festival or Flower and Garden Festival, which I love those. I love those more than Festival of the Arts. Festival of the Arts is still fun, but the emphasis, I think, is placed in a different area for that particular festival. But I know several people that that is their absolute hands down favorite festival of the year.
I think it's probably the one that has the most for children.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
we
makes
love
it a
them.
pretty desirable option, I think.
Yes, we love the mural, that you can go help paint, that's always fun, and then I know typically they'll have, like, a sidewalk chalk drawing area for kids,
Right.
so we
Uh-huh.
always end up there, even though we have sidewalk chalk at home, there's just something about it at Epcot that
Yep.
makes it that much more desirable, but, yeah, there's a lot to do for kids. I love the photo ops with the props too, where you have the different paintings and you can get in them and, take your picture, I love those.
So I feel like maybe we'll have an upcoming episode just dedicated entirely to Festival of the Arts because it's definitely worthy of a full episode on its own. But it'll be coming up January 16th to 23rd of 2026 are the dates that were officially announced in recent weeks. So that'll be an exciting thing to look forward to. So uh I guess that's it for our intro today. We
A
we
little
are
longer
ready
than
to
usual.
get into the content on Dinoland USA. So, Dinoland USA is an area at Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park that was there since the opening day. And it has officially been announced that the very last of what still remains, which is very little at this point, will be permanently closed. The last day to ride the dinosaur ride will be February 1st of 2026, and it's permanently closed officially starting February 2nd. So, you might be wondering how Dino Land fit into any of this and what it was about in the first place to be in Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park. So, Rachel, do you want to give us a little bit of a history on what is disappearing and and what all has happened since they opened the theme park back in 1998?
Yeah, so this land does actually have a backstory to it if you're not aware. So this backstory dates all the way back to 1947 when an amateur fossil hunter found some dinosaur bones there and some scientists came in and purchased that area. And since then you've had scientists, volunteers and grad students all coming in to find dinosaurs which led to the founding of the Dino Institute. This was a fossil discover park. And so there was an old fishing lodge nearby that they turned into a restaurant, which was named the Restaurantosaurus. And the Dino Institute and their partners at a research facility called Chronotech discovered how to warp vehicles through time. So um,
I think
that's
it's safe to say that this land was a reach. I mean,
yes.
first of all, it's quite a story, quite a background story, and I love when you get history of a ride, especially of our most beloved attractions. But at the same time, your regular guest going in there would have no idea what this somehow bizarre area of Dinoland USA really
Yes.
was.
Yeah, in fact, I knew well, the next part of the story I knew a bit bits and pieces of because so Dinoland USA was a very polarizing land because of this next part, which is Chester and Hester. So Chester and Hester were
Mhm.
two locals who wanted to make a quick buck on this new Dino Institute that came in. So they owned a gas station that they converted into a fossil souvenir shop. And then they turned their parking lot into an amusement park. So it became Chester and Hester's Dinorama, which, if you recall, when you kind of came into the area where Primeval World was, Triceratops Spin, there was a big sign called Chester and Hester's Dinorama. So they opened up their own version of dinosaur called Primeval World, and they also added the Triceratops Spin and the most polarizing part of the entire thing, the Midway Games located there. Thus, the little friend that I have here is one of the prizes that you could have won from one of the Midway Games.
Yeah, so like I said, it's strange. It
Yeah.
was really now to me. The first time I visited Disney World was in 2001. It was just normal for me. Since then, I think it's become a little more strange because the park has changed in some other ways. We've added Pandora, which to anybody who's ever seen any of the Avatar movies, you know exactly what's going on there. There was no movie to go back and reference or history to find out, other than some research online about what was happening in this land. So it was kind of a hodgepodge of different things. Uh, like Rachel mentioned, there were games. So in the middle of a Disney theme park, you had this section of carnival games. Now, they were the type of things when my kids were younger, and we would budget our trips, and every penny was accounted for very closely, and we were saving souvenir money all year. They were never allowed to play those games because it was extra money and it would make me mad. I said, "We paid so much money to get here. I don't want to waste money playing games." It was always something that annoyed me. So actually I believe it was last November when we knew that it was going to be our last time there, prior to the games and everything closing down, I finally gave in and let my daughters each play a game. They were each allowed to play once, and if they lost, then too bad. Point taken. Don't waste your money there. Fortunately for them, there was barely anybody in this entire area of the park. Go figure. And they both won their games because I think one of my daughters ended up playing against absolutely no one, and the other played against one other individual. So they
Yeah,
did
imagine
come
being that
away
one
with their
other
midway
individual.
prize. I can't imagine they really took in a whole lot there, but the prizes are cute. I know Rachel has a little cute triceratops. I think that might have come from the water squirting game. My daughter got one of those I
Yeah.
think.
Most likely, I think they had them for a couple of games, but you're right, there's hardly ever anybody over there. My kids got into them because they can work their grandmother over pretty well, but,
Mhm,
it usually started with one of us taking my son onto Dinosaur, and with my oldest daughter, needing something to do after riding Triceratops spin for about the 3rd or 4th time, it was, "Well, let's go play a game." And so you would get vouchers, ticket vouchers to go and play the game, exchange your cash for the ticket vouchers, and then go up to each booth. So we'd usually come off the ride. My daughter would be playing one of the games, and then my mom would hand my son a ticket voucher, and he'd run off to go play another one. But I will say, so even though I'll say this, I don't live too far away from Dollywood, so we frequent there a couple of times a year, and they have a section, similar in a lot of ways, a lot of carnival games, and those are usually always pretty crowded there, but
mhm.
the quality of prizes that you get compared, they're just not comparable because the carnival games, the stuffed animals, the ones like the foam beads inside, like, you can just
Right.
feel those. This is not what you would get with this.
Yeah.
This is actually a pretty high quality and durable stuffed animal, but still, people just thought it kind of cheapened the area, cheapened the idea of the parks itself. And I do understand that, but when you're 6 years old, that you don't understand that, you don't see that, and that doesn't matter to you, and you're going to go and try to find a way to play the game.
So a few things about what you just mentioned. First of all, I had forgotten you had to go stand in a line to buy tickets
Mhm.
and then go get in the line to play the game. And I do remember way back in the day when the area was really crowded. And that was another part of the reason we didn't want to be spending money on these games is because first you had to spend the time waiting in the line to buy the tickets and then you had to go wait in the line to play the actual game and you weren't guaranteed anything. My point was always you could just go to the gift shop and buy
Yeah.
yourself a prize and save the money. I just never really understood how it fit in a Disney park. It really seemed more like a carnival type thing to me. But I think the prizes are extra adorable now looking at them. So, Rachel, I know you have a Triceratops there, and we'll put a photo of this on our socials so everybody can see it. If you take a look at yours, I can't see it right now on our call because it's blocked on me, but so it has half of a smile. And I believe
Yes.
that they made all of these looking a little bit wonky because they were supposed to be like the cheap, cheesy carnival
Ah.
toys, but they're not. I can't remember what the deal is with the Minnie Mouse version that one of my daughters had, but there was something silly about that one that she had gotten at the time also that when you look at them, they're not perfect toys. They're a great
Yeah.
quality. They're intentionally imperfect to kind of give you that whole vibe of this roadside stop of Chester and Hester. So
That makes sense.
it was very
I
well
never knew
played.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Somewhere we do have the Mickey and Minnie, and those are not as great quality, I would say, as the dinosaur
Okay.
plushes. We do have I mean, they're fine, but they're just smaller versions. You would not buy it in a store.
Mhm.
But we have a larger dinosaur too that's held up over the years. So I'll have to see if we can find the Mickey and Minnie and see if I can get a picture of those because I never thought about those, but I did think they were lesser quality, but I also thought that was because the games cost less to play than actually
That could
going and
be.
buying
I
one.
mean, I am just this is my own take on it. I have
Okay.
never read about that anywhere or heard about it anywhere. It's just I noticed how they looked and thought, "Oh, I think they intentionally made these so that they would look like they're junk, but they're not junk." So,
That would make
I
sense.
apologize if not that's not what they were trying to do
If they just wanna have
to
a cute little
whoever
have fun.
designed this.
So, but yeah, so the games you when Primeval World was open, that whole area was a lot busier in general because,
Mhm.
Primeval World was a pretty popular ride but it wasn't for everybody, so you would definitely have
Oh.
people waiting off to the side on that one while other people rode. It was fun to watch them ride too on that one.
So before we get into what Primeval World was, I'll just wrap up the whole game thing by saying there were, I think, 5 of these carnival games. One was a squirty, one that you use a water gun and try to fill whatever it was up the fastest. There was a basketball theme game, just, shoot the ball through the hoop type thing. There was one that was like a whack-a-mole hitting,
Mhm.
um, and then there was a skee ball, and then one where the players tossed comets into moving goblets, like a little thing. So, um, your typical things that you see at a carnival. So it was
Yeah,
different. I don't really feel like it's the type of thing we'll ever see return to a Disney park, but who knows? And again, since you mentioned the reasons that your kids played the games, that makes a lot of sense because we did have just a few rides in this area. And they were ones that two of the three of them were geared towards bigger kids. So
mhm.
little kids needed something to do. Now, when we wanted something to do in that area, we went to the dig site,
Yeah.
which I think was probably the best part of this entire area. So, the dig site was a children's play area where they can climb on various things. There were some little slides in there. There was like a rope. Looking bridge that went across the walkway and over to the other side of a path where you can actually dig. And I don't know what this stuff is called. It's not sand, but it's the kind of stuff you see sometimes on playgrounds that you can dig in like sand. It's much thicker and like plasticky. But there it was an excavation site. And every day the cast members would work hard overnight to get it all covered over. And every day it would start fresh as a new dig site for the kiddos to come in and dig for dino bones. So that was one of our favorite things to do at Animal Kingdom. And I think the thing that we miss the most about that area. Now, of course, my kids are much older now, and it's not the type of thing
Yeah,
that you would have sent big kids in. So we hadn't done it in years. But when I think back to Dino Land, that's what I think of. So I guess that was another reason we didn't spend much time at the games, but we did spend time at the ride. So you mentioned Triceratops Spin. Triceratops Spin was basically Dumbo in a
basically.
Triceratops
Mhm.
instead of a Dumbo. It's
Yeah.
exactly what it was. I don't remember it having cover over it.
No cover
Um,
over it. There was cover on the line, there's no cover over it, and the
mhm.
triceratops, you could tilt them forward or backward, almost kinda like a rocking horse type movement. I've ridden my fair share of that ride, so, real quick before the attractions, though, I do wanna go back and mention the Boneyard. Disney has confirmed that something similar is coming back when Tropical Americas
Okay.
opens, so that is good news for parents. I will also mention too, that place was huge, and you would lose sight of your child in about point 0.2 seconds as soon as you got in, but it was gated, and there was a cast member standing and stationed at the gate all the time, so no child could walk out without an adult. So
Right.
I
It was very
appreciated that
secure.
because
Yes.
you lost sight of your children. And if you have multiple children, they are going multiple places, and you just eventually you start looking all around just to make sure, okay, I see one. All right, I see another one. And but
Yeah, it
yeah,
was a day
Triceratops
we would
spin.
often dress our kids in matching clothes, and have something bright so that you could keep an eye on them from afar, and I could remember having my parents in there with us as well. It was an area of the park that the kids can kinda interact with the grandparents, which was nice. Not that the grandparents were like climbing up and around the slides and things, but just kind of overseeing them and watching them have fun there was a nice area of the park. And then we had Primeval Whirl, which was a roller coaster type ride that I have always referred to as a mouse trap, like cat and mouse, switch back and forth type game is or ride rather. I rode it one time. That was enough for me. It kind of whipped me around a lot. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't my favorite. Were you a fan,
I was a
Rachel?
huge fan. We rode it every single time.
Oh, that's
Um,
funny.
my mom always talked about how she remembers these types of rides at carnivals when she was a kid, so
Uh-huh.
she loved it too. I was very sad when it closed. It closed and the parks closed for COVID, but it never reopened, and it was the first thing to be
Oh, well,
demolished
then
there.
that's sad then. I hadn't realized that. So there was
Yeah.
never like an official goodbye, which I feel like Disney has started to understand how hardcore their fans are and they tend to give us a heads up on this type of thing when they can. Like we know when Dinosaur is closing at this point,
Mhm.
and we know that Rock and Roller Coaster will be closing early next year, and we're still waiting on a date for that. But it never occurred to me that first of all, there may be fans of Primeval World, and that second of all, I didn't realize it never reopened in 2020. So I am sad for you for that. I'm sorry.
Well, I think the reason why, I believe it was the same closing day. So it closed March 13th, 2020, which is about the time that the parks closed.
That was
But,
the day. I remember
okay,
because I was there
okay,
that week. That was
okay.
that was the day that we don't really ever need to talk about again.
But, I believe that it was closed after they reopened because they were gonna do some work on it. I could be remembering
Okay.
this wrong, but I believe that it was closed for that because they were gonna do some work on it, and they had announced that. But, the company that made the attraction had made another attraction at a different park in a different location, and I believe that was in Europe, and they had a major malfunction with the ride. Some people got seriously
Um,
injured for that, and so I believe because that was part of the reason why Disney just never reopened it. They just said, "We're
okay.
just going to demolish this instead." So I there was some correlation there with another attraction that that company had built, before
Okay.
and this ride too.
Okay. So it just made sense to kind of
Yeah,
cut their
we don't
losses
want
there
we
and
don't want the bad
say
press,
say
basically.
goodbye. Yeah. Yeah. We don't need anybody trashing Chester and Hester
Yeah.
by any means and all the amazingness that they created there. All right. So I think it's safe to say that in that area, the most popular sought after attraction is the dinosaur ride. You agree with that? Or did you like Primeval World more than you like
I
dinosaur?
like Dinosaur better. I do like
Okay.
Dinosaur better. It's a lot of fun.
So I believe Dinosaur originally opened as Countdown to Extinction back
Yes.
in 1998. It had a couple changes over the years. Still, I think the same track, the same ride system, but a few things had changed over time. I think it was around 2000 it switched over to being Dinosaur. I love the queue in this
Mhm.
ride. This summer actually was the first time I ever even realized there was an extended outdoor queue because I've never had to wait in that before.
I've
Uh,
been in it, yeah.
yeah, and it was hot, and I guess it was because people knew it was legit the countdown to
Yeah.
extinction again, because everybody once you heard Dinosaur was going to close, suddenly everybody started riding it again, and the wait times got longer. So we were in a queue that went out and, like, around the side of the building and kind of, like, in a little circle over on the
Mhm.
end. It was so hot. It was on our July trip, but we said we needed to get in one more ride on this because it really is a fun ride. Uh,
Yes.
yeah. But I like that there are different fossils and things as you're walking into, I guess it's the Dino Institute there. Then you're welcomed in there and Mrs. Huxtable's there.
Yeah.
I don't remember what her name is for the dinosaur ride, but Felicia Rashad was the actor that they chose. And what is the other?
Dr. Seeker.
Right, Dr.
Yes.
Seeker. And
So
he's
Dr.
there to
Seeker
help
welcomes
you
you.
go back in time to find, is it the iguanodon That's
Mhm,
that's our
yep,
dino
that's
because
our dino.
you find a lot of dinos that are not our dino,
Yep.
not our dino on that
The
ride. If you've
iguanodon is the
ridden
key to I don't remember what he says, but it's the key to, like, unlocking I don't know. So, but that specific one, and he's also out in front of the building when you get in there, there is a statue of the iguanodon there,
Mhm,
which does make for a great picture opportunity because you
mhm.
can oftentimes get that building just by itself with not necessarily a huge crowd of people walking into it. But yeah, so Dr. Seeker, he rigs the system and you are going to go back to the asteroid impact just before it. But don't worry, you'll be out before the meteorites even begin to break the surface,
Yep.
as they say.
Hopefully
Yeah.
you will. Uh, that's one of those rides that I try to prepare the entire ride for the ride photo. It's always in the back of my head because I always miss it. It's, you get some pretty crazy ride photos there. If you have Memory Maker or if you use Lightning Lane, you'll get that included for the day in your My Disney Experience app. It really is a fun ride. And
Mhm.
it's one of the things that thinking back to my first Disney World trip in 2001, it was one of the things that sticks out the most in my mind because I thought it was incredibly well done. I was a very young adult at the time. I was 21 years old and didn't have a ton of theme park experiences. Growing up in Pennsylvania, I was to Hershey Park, into Dorney Park, and things just around the state like that. But that was my first time starting my Disney life. And and it really stuck out in my mind. On that trip, I was with my aunt and uncle and their three kids who were teenagers at the time. And their youngest son, I believe, was 10. He may have been 11, but he was a young guy, young boy, thinks he's tough. You get him on this ride. He was terrified. And we got off and immediately said, let's go again. And he
Yeah.
didn't want to. And we all decided, well, you could sit out here by yourself or you're coming on again. And we forced the poor kid to go on again. I still make fun of him for it to this day because he was terrified. It's so realistic. If I didn't
Yeah.
know better, I would think those dinosaurs were after me because
Well,
it's pretty
yeah,
cool.
and especially the photo op. I think over the years, Disney has probably upped the lighting within the attraction because it used to be completely dark and you had no idea that dino was there. And then, the photo
Yeah.
opportunity, like you said, you get some great photos. It's great to react to them, but it's great to see genuine reactions from people,
Yeah.
within that aren't expecting it. So, yeah, because I remember the first time we took Lincoln on, my son just saying, "We're gonna go traumatize him," but he loved it. I think that's his favorite ride at Animal Kingdom.
Aw,
Yeah. So,
that's
and
neat.
my oldest daughter has ridden it. She rode it on our last trip. She really liked it too. So we're gonna try to get on that ride as many times as we can on our upcoming trip. And who knows, maybe the youngest will get on it once too. We'll see if we can knock
Ooh.
all 3 of them out.
She's a tall girl, right?
She is tall.
She
Yeah.
may be there.
And
Okay.
adventurous, so she loves dinosaurs.
She will get that dino.
Yeah.
There will be no
Yes,
doubt.
she will. The dinosaurs will be afraid of her, so she rules the roost.
So this ride isn't a roller coaster, but it is in a Jeep type vehicle that you're seat belted into. And there are 3 rows of 4 people per row. It's a really shaky, jerky type ride. I had gone for several years without riding it. And like I said, started riding again each trip just because I knew that our time was limited on it. And I was surprised the first time I rode it after a while how much it shakes you around. I guess now that I'm older and my back's not the greatest, you get to like 45 and your back is shot. It really, I noticed more now than I ever used to how much it shakes you around, but still incredibly well done. I think for what the ride options were back in 2001, it was an outstanding ride. But I am excited that we are going to be getting an update on it with the new Tropical Americas section of the park that they're building. So
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah,
we'll,
I hope it's not an identical ride to the Indiana Jones in Disneyland. I do enjoy that ride a lot, but
yeah,
I
that's a
would
fun
like to
ride.
it
I
is a
wouldn't
fun
mind
ride.
if it was
Yeah.
identical.
Well, I wanted I mean, obviously, it's gonna be similar, I would assume, but I think it'd be fun to have, the different coasts have a different version of the ride, their
Right.
own version, so, and hopefully, maybe I don't know, hopefully, I would love a dinosaur nod in there, kind of like how there's a Mr. Toad's nod in the Winnie the Pooh ride,
Mhm.
so I would love something, a Carnotaurus somewhere that hidden that you can go and
Somewhere. I'm sure they'll do something. Those, Imagineers tend to be exceptionally thoughtful,
yeah.
and respectful. I mean, you don't become an Imagineer without really loving Disney. So I feel like
Mhm.
they really go the extra mile and then some to respect the rides and attractions of the past when they're moving us to the future. So, uh, time will tell on that, and we will certainly chat about it when the time comes. Now, there was one restaurant option in this area, and that was a Restaurantosaurus, which
Mhm.
was pretty much a regular quick service location. It's a pretty big size building. It was a good place to go if you wanted indoor seating and air conditioning when you were within that park there at Animal Kingdom. Burgers, chicken, salad, those types of things. I had been in there before for a few private events with different groups also. We had a meeting in there one morning. They actually set up a buffet breakfast for us. So there are private event options if that's something that your group or your company is looking to do. But I don't really have any magical experiences there to share to you, Rachel.
No, so I do remember that, it used to serve McDonald's food. Do you remember that?
I remember like the McDonald's fry sign somewhere
Yeah.
there, and then there was a fry cart at Magic Kingdom. I remember had
Yes,
McDonald's
close
fries way
to Big
back.
Thunder Mountain, close to, Pecos Bills, kinda that back
Mhm,
area,
mhm.
that back sidewalk there.
Yep.
But yeah, so it used to be serve McDonald's food until 2008, but it is a quick service. We'll typically just stop in there if we want, like, a snack. Sometimes there's nothing better for me than just a snack of french fries and a fountain drink, so, that's usually kinda one of the places that we would stop for that. But one thing I completely forgot about that they used to host there was Donald's Breakfastosaurus.
Done that, but the name rings a bell.
Yeah, I
What's
I
that?
never I never did either. It featured Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Goofy, and Pluto, and, the story was that they had recently discovered the fossilized remains of Donald's
The stories, I'm sorry, these stories are
giant
all a stretch.
ancestor. But this was short-lived. It stopped in 2007 when Tusker House over in Africa
Right.
opened, and
And
so they
there's no
moved the
longer the
characters.
need there
Yes.
in
So they
that
moved the
park.
characters over there, which I'm thankful for because Tusker House is one of my favorites. I Thinking back on it, I remember I completely forgot that they had a character breakfast there because, no, we never did that either, but, yeah, so that was something too but yeah, Restaurant Sources over there, a lot of people like the theming of it, even though the food isn't unique, I guess, since it is kinda
Mhm.
standard theme park fare there, and the rest of Animal Kingdom does have pretty unique food set up at the other quick service locations, but there's a lot of theming with that room, there's kind of like a cafeteria style room, there's a room with fossils on the wall, you can see, like, a triceratops head above the fireplace, so they did a great job with the theming, and I think the name Restaurantosaurus is fun too, 'cause you see restaurant and then the "osaurus" added to the signage there.
All right. So I think that it's safe to say we enjoyed Dinoland USA. We thank those who made it possible. And I think it had a good run. It was nice while it lasted. But of course, we know Disney World is always changing. So, in order to make room for the tropical Americas area, this change was necessary. But at least we'll always have this podcast to go back in time. Remember the days of Dino Land, and I'm excited to see what comes next.
Absolutely, and I will miss the giant Semenosaurus that was there at Chester and Hester's in their little parking lot. That's what the name of the dinosaur was that you could walk under there.
Okay, you lost me for a minute, but
Yeah,
yes. So I can
yeah.
remember hiding from the rain underneath that
Yes,
dinosaur.
yeah,
There
that was a
was
good
a
place too. So he was
giant dinosaur
yes, he was
there
known
in
as
that
the
area near the games. Yes.
Semenosaurus. But yeah, so there's a lot of sort of things, and of course, Theater of the Wild, as far as I know, will still be there as it operates currently today. I had no idea that was part of Dinoland USA, but it is, and that's seen some changes over
I
there.
guess it
Yes,
just doesn't have its own land
I
otherwise.
guess
So
not, yeah, and I
yeah,
guess it's kind of out of the place for Asia over where Everest is, but,
right.
it is exciting to see what they will do with that area. They by all means, it's gonna be easy with the theming with how Animal Kingdom looks with all the foliage, add in tropical Americas to this.
Uh-huh.
So, I hope Disney Imagineers do that land justice and add some nods into there for us. For today's top five, since this episode will be airing the week of Thanksgiving, we thought we would mention five things that we are thankful for when it comes to Walt Disney World, or even the Disney parks in general. This can extend out to those as well too. So, Missy, will you get us started out with your number five of things that you are thankful for?
Absolutely. So there's an endless list of things that I am thankful for at Walt Disney World. So for the purpose of this top 5, I kind of geared mine more towards top 5 things this year, things in recent history that specifically I am thankful for at Disney World. So I'm going to start with my number 5, and it is that the Disney dining plan has returned. So that was another thing. I hate to mention the year 2020 very often in this podcast. Rachel already mentioned it once today, but the dining plan went away for quite a while, and we do finally have it back. I'm thrilled to have it back, and I'm happy it stuck around for 2025. And I am thrilled that it will be here as an option for families in 2026, and that it'll be a little more affordable for them with kids ages 3 to 9 having the dining plan for free. So it's not something that I use very often, but I do think it is an excellent budgeting option for families who want to pay ahead of time for things. So I'm thankful that the dining plan is back and seems to be here to stay.
So, my number five is that there are no longer parking fees for resort guests. I think that was a huge oversight that the Disney company
Amen.
had. Yes, and this is coming from a family, we drive often. We drive for more trips than not because we live within a reasonable distance to drive. But having the different tiers based on what level of resort that you were staying at. Now, they did not add in parking fees for guests at the parks themselves, but it was one of those things that it was honestly hard to remember because for so long there were no parking fees and all of a sudden they were there. Fortunately, they were short-lived and they're no longer there. And I do appreciate that Disney does not charge for parking at their resorts if you're staying there. And if you're staying there, you can also drive to the parks and park there for free. We actually utilize that quite often, even though we talk about Disney transportation, how great it is. And I do believe that it is. But sometimes it is nice just to have your own vehicle if you need to get somewhere quickly or leave quickly. So, no parking fees for resort guests. Please always keep it that way, Disney. We'd appreciate it.
I think they heard everybody loud and clear on that. It wasn't around for real long. I believe it was February 2023 when they ultimately axed it and said, okay, we are not going to do that to you anymore. I
Yeah.
remember having travels during that time, and it was just before it that they ended it. So it was a big relief. But wow, that didn't go over well.
No,
So,
not at
and
all.
it just didn't seem necessary. So I would rather just have it bundled right in there to the cost of my trip than have to deal with proving where you're staying, coming and going, and worrying about that additional fee. So I agree with you there. All right, on to my number 4. I am thankful that the rapid refill mugs work at every resort, and they seem to now be set for a pretty standard 14 days out. So for most people, the length of stay is great. Because of the different travels that we are fortunate enough to participate in, sometimes I'll have two trips that are close enough that I can get the tail end of one trip and the start of another with that same mug.
Yeah.
And I will let that mug travel back and forth with me to home and back to Disney World because I would like to save that nearly $25 on the
Yeah.
cost of the mug. But in particular, I appreciate and I am thankful for the fact that they work at all resorts, especially with our upcoming Christmas trip that we have early in December. We do love to take a whole day and just visit the resort hotels and see their Christmas decorations. We've done it before, and God willing, we will do it again because it is my favorite Christmas activity to do. And we take our mugs along with us because we can fill up at the refill stations or get some hot coffee or cocoa or something like that wherever we're visiting and don't have to worry about only being able to use it at our own hotel or buying a new cup everywhere we are. So I love those refill mugs.
So for my number four, I said that Disney has created lounges like Nomad Lounge, Geyser Point. These places are kind of a place of calm in the middle of the chaos, even though Geyser Point is at a resort. I love that there are places that Disney has intentionally set up places that you can go and kind of just relax and still be immersed in the theming, but kind of be taking out of the hustle and bustle that the parks offer. Nomad Lounge being right in the middle of Animal Kingdom, it's a fantastic place to go and just get off your feet for a while and take in just the sights and sounds of Animal Kingdom without having to deal with crowds of people. So I love that. I love that they've created spaces like that, and these are fun places with great food, great beverages, and I would like to see more of those in the future too.
Yes, and when you're in the middle of a busy park day and you can find that little place of leisure within a theme park, it is definitely something to be thankful for. So I'm right there with you on that. Okay, so for my number three, I am thankful that we are now booking Lightning Lane 7 days in advance for resort guests instead of booking it the day of or booking it 60 days in advance or any other option, really. I appreciate that Disney resort guests get the advantage of booking 7 days out instead of 3 days like off property guests. And I think that's a reasonable amount of time. I don't love having to make ride reservations. I detest having to pay for them. However, I believe 7 days is a reasonable length of time in advance to make the ride reservations if you so choose to pay for that option. So thank
Yes,
you,
by that
Lightning
point,
Lane.
yeah, your schedule should be fairly set.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's flexibility that you would like to have, but that's a better time period than things that they have been in the past. And I will piggyback on with that. I'd like that I don't have to rush to a ride as soon as I get into the park to get that coveted fast pass that you used to have to do. So that was pretty chaotic having to wait for that, hoping to get a certain time, and then all of a sudden it switches to 45 minutes later because so many people have been in front of you.
Right. Well, it's the kind of thing that back in the day, I guess just because I was more youthful and you didn't get the sore feet walking around the park. I didn't mind at all trekking back and forth to get that paper fast pass. Uh, uh, but now don't inconvenience me.
Yeah.
Don't make it harder than it has to be. So if I had to do that now, I would be saying no. No, if I wanted to
Yeah.
walk all that, I would just go get in the line. Never mind.
Ginger girls, yeah. So my number 3, kinda goes along with what we were talking about with Tropical Americas. I like that with I'm thankful for that I will never run out of new experiences to have and try at Walt Disney World. From resorts to restaurants, new shops, new attractions, new experiences. Walt Disney World is always changing. There are some things that they've taken away that I wish they would bring back. I'm not gonna lie. There are some changes that they've made that I don't think are for the better, but they also always try to find new ways to innovate spaces, especially spaces that aren't as used as others, utilize those areas for guests, create new restaurants, create new themes, and, I mean, I still have a long list of things that I've never done, even going to the parks as many times that I go to.
Yes, we have a list. So I
Yeah,
hope you're
we
keeping
do
that
have a list
list.
of things I have to do.
We're going to be busy next time we get to be at the parks together.
Yes.
Leaving all kids behind, we'll be on a mission
Yep.
at this point.
Tack on
There's
a
too much
day. We
we
need to
need
tack
to
on a
do.
day.
All right, so down to number two already. My number two, and I am very thankful for this. I am so thankful that the Island Tower at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort is not as terrible as I thought it was going to be. I actually quite enjoyed it. When I first heard the announcement that they were going to be building a tower, I was very concerned about the ambiance of the resort, about the view of the skyline through the area, but I think it was very, very well done. I enjoyed my stay there. I just stayed there one night, but I was fortunate enough to stay again with one of our groups that we travel with. A bunch of us ladies got together and booked one of the penthouse 2 bedroom suites for a night. So that was a fun experience. I enjoyed the food that they had there. The water splash area and the pool are nice, and the hot tub, and of course the views of the Magic Kingdom and of the fireworks. So I am thrilled that the Polynesian resort still exists, much in the same way as it always has, with all of the outlying longhouses. But I love the tower now as well. And I will miss the luau, but honestly, it's always been about Ohana for me there. It was never about the luau. We tried it a
Yeah.
few times and, consistently regretted it when we did because it just wasn't
Oh,
our
no.
thing. We just enjoyed Ohana better. So I must say I'm not too sad that the luau is gone, and I'm kind of glad that the island tower is there. So I'm thankful for that at the Polynesian this year.
And I have not been to the Polynesian since that was completed. I've seen the completed tower, but, I stayed there last summer while construction was still going on. It is
Uh-huh.
really hard to judge an area when construction is still going on. The sight
Uh-huh.
lines aren't perfect. When you're just looking at the structure of a building, of course, it looks awful, it looks ugly, and how dare Disney do this to us, but they make it work together. I think about Grand Destino Tower over at Coronado Springs. I love Coronado. And the tower is massive compared to the other buildings that are located there where the other rooms are,
Uh-huh.
but man, that tower is fantastic. The theming inside of it, it's gorgeous, and I love the rooms, and I think the tower is a major upgrade to that area too. So yes, I would agree. Uh, give Disney a chance sometimes. They do care about their sight lines. They do care about the aesthetic of the entire area. So,
Uh-huh.
but we just have to wait till it's finished.
Okay.
All right, so my number 2, I think we can all relate to this quote. So Walt said on Disneyland, "I think what I want Disneyland to be most of all is a happy place, a place where adults and children can experience together some of the wonders of life, of adventure, and feel better because of this." And I am so thankful that Walt Disney World creates a multi-generational experience for my family each and every time that we go, from the oldest members that we travel with down to my toddler. There are so many things that we can do and enjoy together as a family, and that Disney takes that into consideration more often than not when making their attractions for us. So I do appreciate that we can all get together and have a place that is enjoyable for everyone.
So it seems we have now turned the page here to the sappy side of
Yeah.
our our top 5 for today. So I will finish it off with my number 1, which is uh, a pretty serious thing that I am thankful for, and that is for all of my Disney friends. Thankful for all of you for listening. Thankful to Rachel and to our whole group and various groups that we travel with. It's been a huge part of my life. It's the reason we are here at a Disney Life podcast. And my everyday would just not be as bright without my Disney friends. So I am thankful to Disney World and all of the Disney destinations that bring us together as fans of Disney and as friends with each other.
So for
Stop
my
that,
number 1,
Rachel.
I'm gonna try. I would say I completely and
It better be
wholeheartedly agree with
me.
your number
Better be
1.
me, Rachel.
Yeah.
You're number one, me.
I wholeheartedly agree with that number 1, and I know Missy will wholeheartedly agree with my number 1 too, and I would
Okay.
say I am super thankful for the cast members.
Okay. Oh, fine. You did
Yep.
kind of pop me there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could call
Cast
it
members,
even.
you cast members, you help make the magic each and every day for every single person that walks into those parks, and I get it. Working with guests is not an easy job, it's not an easy task, and, some people are just not having the most magical day, but you make sure that you make those interactions magical for those families that come in there, and, you work hard every single day to live out Walt's vision, so thank you so much. Walt Disney World would not be the place that it was without you.
Aw, that was sweet. And that was 100% accurate. So
Yeah.
very good. Thank you, cast members. We love you, cast members. For today's question of the week, one of our listeners has asked, "Where can I have a Thanksgiving meal at Disney World?" So that's a great question because I think there are some places that we know they have a traditional Thanksgiving style meal year round, but it's more than just that right at the Thanksgiving week. So, Rachel, what is your recommendation for that?
Yeah, so obviously the first choice would be Liberty Tree Tavern, and I would imagine that's probably their busiest day of the year. Um, you can also
That's
go
an
over to the
excellent point. Yes.
Yeah, Golden Horseshoe and have the same menu there in a very different type of scenario situation, theming, and, but I will also mention several counter service restaurants at resorts offer a Thanksgiving meal. Every single value resort has a Thanksgiving meal on Thanksgiving Day. 3 of the moderates, I believe, have a Thanksgiving meal, and several of the deluxe resorts have Thanksgiving meals too, so those are easy to find if you wanna go out, and again, if you're staying anywhere else on property, you're welcome to go to that resort's quick service location to get a Thanksgiving meal. If you're in the parks, interestingly, at Animal Kingdom, Satuli Canteen offers a Thanksgiving meal, which I thought was fascinating.
That is
Um,
fascinating, and that's
yes.
that's fantastic also
Yeah.
because, sometimes you don't want to give up, the traditional turkey and stuffing and potatoes, but you also wanna be at Disney World, so that's
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom
Yeah.
is not somewhere that I would have expected the traditional meal, but that's great and a great place to have it there.
Yes. There's also other table service restaurants that will offer one. Some of them, like Steakhouse 71, they may offer just some additional Thanksgiving items for that day. But I think two that would be on my list to try. Whispering Canyon Cafe has their own special Thanksgiving skillet on
Mhm.
Thanksgiving Day. Sanaa over at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, they actually offer an African inspired feast for Thanksgiving on
Right.
that day. So more
And,
African flavors.
another option that I always think of when I think of a Thanksgiving type meal is over at Garden Grill in Epcot.
Yes.
That's one that, year round you have a very, Thanksgiving comparable meal with the turkey and potatoes and things there. So I think Ale and Compass has one also. I mean, they really just add things in.
Mhm.
So don't go by
Yeah.
the normal menus that you would see online for every day. I don't think you're going to have too much trouble getting that Thanksgiving turkey fix from Disney wherever you are there at Disney World.
Right. There are multiple options, so, be sure to check those out. Some of them have not been announced for this year that they've had in years past, and they may not be coming back, but the ones that we mentioned are ones that will have some kind of Thanksgiving meal celebrating this year, so it is easy to find. Don't feel like you're missing out, having your turkey with Mickey Mouse this year.
Very good. All right. That was a great question. And if you have a question that you would like to have us answer for you on the podcast, you can get that question to us in several different ways. You can send an email to a Disney Life at storybookdestinations.com or podcast at storybookdestinations.com, or you can get that question to us through social media. We are on several platforms. We have a Facebook group, a Disney Life podcast, we have an Instagram, and we have a TikTok, a Disney Life pod. So we would love it if you'd follow along there. We include a couple shorts through the weeks, some things of current and upcoming episodes, and we just love to have a little bit of interaction with some of our listeners there. So we'd love to have you be a part of that. And Rachel, I believe you've got our tip of the week for us today.
I do. So this week's tip is actually a tip about Memory Maker, but with the holiday season in full swing at Walt Disney World, Memory Maker is a great option to add to your package or to your tickets. And so I want to mention if you are traveling with multiple parties and would like to have Memory Maker, only one member of your party needs Memory Maker for everyone else to be able to enjoy your photos. As long as you're connected as friends and family on the app, the guest with Memory Maker can see everyone's photos, download them, and send them to you. So don't feel like if you have four different rooms traveling together that all four rooms need Memory Maker. You just need Memory Maker on one room for everybody to enjoy it. That's a fantastic way to really get a good bang for your buck with Memory Maker. And I guess you could say I'm thankful that Disney allows the sharing when it comes to that, to be able to use Memory Maker in that way. With holidays going on, there are so many special photo opportunities that you can find. And there's PhotoPass photographers at a lot of different locations where they wouldn't typically be at throughout the year, like in front of trees. And I know in several of the resorts, they kind of have like this postcard type setup location where you could get your picture made in there. So definitely consider Memory Maker for your next trip. And remember, only one party needs Memory Maker for your entire party to enjoy it. So that's all that we have for today. This was quite a trip down memory lane about Dinoland USA and all the fun memories that it brought us over the years. Whether you loved it or hated the roadside games, they were there and they're going away now. So, Dinosaur, we will miss you greatly. I can't wait to see what the backstory is for Tropical Americas. Who knows? Maybe Chester and Hester will make an appearance there too. So thank you so much for listening. Missy, it was great chatting with you today about Dinosaur and Dinoland USA.
Yes, thank you so much, Rachel. And thank you to all of our listeners. We wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and we are so thankful to have you be a part of our Disney life.